School there, the Kenya High School. On our continuing series, My Year, the sudden death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga threw Kenya into deep shock and grief in mid-October this year. That shock did not spare the Royal Media Services newsrooms as editors and reporters scrambled to cover a sad and the most consequential story of the year. Citizen TV's Stephen Letoo was deployed to India to report on the death and repatriation of Raila's body. He recollects all of it now on Raila, the sudden end.
This is BBC News. The former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga has died.
Covering Raila Odinga's death was witnessing history unfold.
Na mtazamaji, tunasitisha matangazo haya kuwaletea tangazo la kuhuzunisha.
Na Raila Amolo Odinga ameaga dunia.
Na habari tunazozipokea kutoka India zinadhihirisha kwamba Raila Odinga alifariki mapema hii leo.
From the moment we received the news that Raila Odinga had died following his undergoing treatment in India, the next thing I knew was personally Stephen Letoo. I'll be one of those who will be sent possibly to Kisumu or even to Bondo in Siaya. Luckily, my colleague Sam Gituku was in Kisumu, and so 1.5 hours, he is in Bondo.
Now, by sunset, a lot of words had been said about the fallen leader.
So he was deployed to Bondo. And what we did is we knew a lot of phone calls will now follow. And so myself and my colleague Emmanuel Tor, we decided to go to a nearby restaurant opposite our office to grab some food. Food was tasteless. You couldn't even concentrate having a meal. And I knew this was an important step to have a meal because the next deployment we might go without food for the longest time, covering Raila Odinga's death. And by that time, social media was awash. Kenyans are flooding the social media, eulogizing Raila Odinga and, writing all manner of what they remember about the country's former prime minister. And so, boom, Linus Kaikai calling. I knew this call meant something. He only uttered one word. Letoo, where's your passport? Grab your passport, go straight to the airport, JKIA. You are flying to India with a government delegation. Quickly, I didn't waste time. I left food on the table. I left Emmanuel Tor with my food there, rushed all the way to JKIA. When we reached JKIA, we met a lot of government officials and delegations led by Prime Cabinet Secretaries Musalia Mudavadi. And so very quickly, our passports were taken, through various screening. Very quickly, we got ourselves into the KQ plane to Mumbai, India. When we got into that plane, the silence was deafening. Everybody looked confused. Hassan Joho, the CS for mining and blue economy, could not even utter a single word. He never spoke to anyone for the entire 6-hour flight to Mumbai, India.
Thank you.
Opio Wandai, the cabinet secretary for energy and petroleum, I didn't see him grab a meal inside that plane. Kipchumba Murkomen, the cabinet secretary for interior and coordination of national government, he tried to put up a brave face inside that plane, but it didn't take long. We could see a shaken man. You could see someone also who is in shock. By the time we got to India, our plane landed. It was chilly, it was raining somehow, and our plane was directed all the way to the VIP section, the body of Raila Odinga had just been brought in by the military helicopter. For me, I never imagined that we are going to India, and coming back from India, we are bringing back Raila Odinga not as a person, but as a corpse. I didn't imagine that we have gone to India not to come back with Raila, but to bring Raila as a cargo. At that point, the song, Raila come home, Raila come home, Agwambo come home, kept ringing in my mind,
Agwambo jidwari, Jakom jidwari, Baba jidwari, Raila come home, Raila come home, Raila come home, Agwambo come home, Raila come home,
And so back to the VIP section of the Mumbai airport. I see a lorry parked in reverse. Inside, there is a temporary casket, definitely with Raila Odinga's body inside. Inside that lorry, side by side, we have India security personnel manning that particular casket. The first person to see was Raila Odinga's long-serving bodyguard, Ogeta. Ogeta was so pained. He just went to Opiyo Wandayi, hugged him, and cried deeply, and started shedding tears on Opiyo Wandayi's shoulder. It was a painful moment. He looked heartbroken, completely heartbroken. When we go to the VIP section, we find Winnie. Winnie was holding the father's hat like a baby. The now infamous Raila Odinga's hat. She was holding it like a baby. She couldn't leave it. The only time, in fact, at that VIP section, there was a chair that Winnie prepared. Hiyo kofia tu ikae hapo kama baba. And it is that very same hat that upon landing later on the following day, she delivered it to the mother, Ida, at JKIA. I didn't want to be carried away at that particular moment, but I felt the pain that each and every person around there was feeling. And so very quickly, the plane was already on a U-turn to Nairobi. We didn't sleep. Here the body is being prepared very quickly, and then we are turning back. Musalia Mudavadi, Johnson Sakaja, they wrapped the casket in the Kenyan flag. And it was loaded into the KQ plane. That was, the engine did not even go off, because we spent about an hour, doing all that and also processing ourselves back to the plane to return to Nairobi. So after the body of Raila Odinga was loaded into the plane, again we went back into the plane, and the journey, another 6-hour journey from Mumbai to Nairobi began. This time round, even worse, because now beneath us is Raila Odinga's body. Now we couldn't figure out that we are seated inside a plane and Raila Odinga's body is below us as a cargo.
Amolo Odinga shawasili. Amkeni mwone nyundo inakuja.
We had live coverage inside the plane as it was descending, and then we had the live tracking of that plane by my colleague Ayub Abdikadir and Trevor Mbija, who were in studio. And then now we had the team that was already on the ground awaiting now the landing of this plane. And by the time we land, we saw a sea of humanity. The people who had come to the airport to receive Raila Odinga's body. Before we could even alight from the aircraft, already the airport security was breached. So by the time I land, we had not slept the entire journey. We had not slept for all those hours, and it was now 9 a.m. So I handed over the coverage to my colleague Emmanuel Tor and his other team, and then I just went and took a deep sleep, knowing that the following day we were again going to go all the way to Kisumu to receive the body, and later again the following day go all the way to Bondo for the final rites of Raila Odinga. Covering Raila Odinga's death was a poignant of the impact that he has had in Kenya's history and politics. His name will continue to feature in politics widely and informing the country's future. Rest in peace, Raila Amolo Odinga.
Uliunganisha mataifa ya Afrika. Ulipenda watu wako kwa moyo wa kweli. Na sasa tunalia, lakini tunajua. Roho yako ipo na Mungu mbinguni. Oh, Seigneur, bénis la femme.